So some months ago, this kind church sent these beautiful 4 people to a really amazing event. I think we each got an interesting call and it made us think, but little did we know what that would mean. Hosted by the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta in cooperation with many other Southern regional churches. This leadership development conference was quite interesting and quite exciting. And just to give you a brief summary, it was called the SOUL Summit with 2 U's, with a focus on being mountaintop people of vision. It was held March 14th to 17th this year. By the way, we've got another one coming. But within 3 little days, there were at least 101 participants, over 30 hours of programming, 11 insightful workshops. You couldn't attend them all. Roughly 10 base camps. They were a caucus-type group you would meet with 4 times throughout the conference to sort of process and re-feel what you were experiencing and work through it. There were 5 provided meals, but 2 more on your own. There were 3 worship services, 2 spotlight main sessions, 1 keynote main session, a little tiny green holiday snuck in there, plus lots of music, fellowshipping, and one of my favorite words, shenanigans. The conference was a whirlwind weekend, filled with ideas, inspirations, exercises, and growth to power up leadership in our region. We hope it continues on. This was the inaugural year. We feel very blessed to be part of that, and we hope you'll do it March 27th to 30th, 2025. Personally, we each took different things, and we're going to each present a little bit of our personal story of that experience. Some themes may overlap each other because we all responded differently to similar and or even some of the same experiences. I'm a big picture person. I've always been told I'm a natural leader. If you follow Enneagrams, my family's full of 9s. So I've always thought that it's my job to see what needs to be done and to help usher it along. So when called for this, to go to this conference, I'm like, well, I guess I'm a pretty good leader, but I've always been a lifelong learner, so yeah, I'll learn more. I had no hesitation other than fitting it into my busy schedule. But it made me start thinking about what is leadership. Rob Ashgar writes, people will disagree forever about the relative importance of vision, emotional intelligence, or communication skills for leaders. But it's hard to argue against the idea that a strong intention is what allows leaders to be effective, to get things done. So one of the first things you did in the orientation was answer a list of questions and talk about it with your base camp. And a lot of those questions were about intention. And I had to think hard. What does this church give me? What do I give it? What is my intention to build in this church? Rumi writes, a strong intention can make 2 oceans wide be the size of a blanket, or 700 years the time it takes to walk to someone you love. What is our intention? So the workshops happened, and I thought more, and they did a lot of building on it. They're very good at this. It's not always my vision. Sometimes, instead of, I know the way, it's empathy, it's listening. More than anything, my big takeaway is it's engagement. I want you up, I want you in, I want you doing, I want you here. I want to hear your voice. Because it's not the big picture. It's the many pieces. We are all the many pieces. It's making way and building up the next generation of leaders. The leadership in all of us, whatever gifts you bring. I like to imagine that as we go through life, we acquire lots of different skills for interpersonal relationships, interrelational life. And these little things we learn, maybe it's saying please and thank you, maybe it's washing our hands, those are very tangible, but maybe it's how we take a moment to make eye contact while we're listening. And that goes in the invisible tool belt. And then we get another skill, and we put that in the invisible tool belt. Maybe we're working with kids, and we learn how to help them forgive themselves when they spill something or make a mistake. All these things add to our invisible tool belt, and we bring them with us throughout life, but sometimes we don't realize somebody's got a tool we're missing. How do I get that? The one that I exercised the most at this workshop was the tool of trying to put my ego aside, my idea that I have the vision, to listen to somebody else's, to make space and to ask the questions that'll encourage somebody to tell me them. Sorry, you're going to get tired of Rumi. It's one of my favorites. The guest house. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. They may be clearing you out for some new delight, the dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. So I have a little activity here, talking about engagement. One of the things we did at this workshop is a movement prayer. So we're just going to try that today. My friends are going to help me here. And get back to that page, because I got lots of pages. First, we bow. Oh, please rise and participate as you are willing, interested, and able. First, we bow to honor the spirit of life. We lift our arms and embrace the gifts of spirit. We bring these gifts unto ourselves with gratitude and breathe and smile. We share these gifts with the world. We remember to be present in this moment. We honor. We embrace with gratitude. We share. We remember to be present. Honor. Embrace. Gratitude. Share. Be present. Thank you.
Good, beautiful morning to you. My name is Jen Stark, and I've been a leader in various organizations for most of my life. In high school, I was co-leader for my church youth group, probably one of the first leadership positions I ever held. And I was given the vital message that I was not alone in leadership. Every time I had a question, I had someone to ask, and together we would find an answer. That set me up for success as a leader because I wasn't afraid to not know. At UTK, I was co-president of the rather small Jewish student union. That wasn't the usual structure in that organization, but two of us were capable of giving a bit over half of what was required, so we found a way to split the job. which was a good lesson. Just because it's always been done a certain way doesn't mean that's the only way to do it. I was also newsletter editor while at UTK for one of my honor societies, where my creativity and communication skills could shine. One of the advisors talked to me and suggested I run for president. She was much more confident in my ability to do the job than I was, but she stood with me and led me through any rough spots, of which there were surprisingly fewer than anticipated. At ORUC here, I've worn many hats since arriving back in 2009. Currently, you may recognize me or my name as being co-leader for the Rummage Sale, or Stone Soup, or Embers, our earth-based spirituality group, or maybe you know me because I sing in the band, or in my capacity as an OWL facilitator, or a member at large of the Board of Trustees. Or perhaps the first time you saw my name was on the ballot for president-elect. Thank you so much for your confidence in my leadership. At the Soul Summit Conference, we were asked to have a mountaintop vision while keeping our feet in the valley. Some of my takeaways from the conference were personal and some were about leadership in general. There was so much great inspiration, from phenomenal worship to engaging workshops to enlightening speakers. Some of those notes went into this short speech. From the personal notes category, we were given a rather lengthy list of questions before the summit to consider and try to answer, and then share in our small groups or base camps. There were dozens of questions related to defining yourself and your leadership style. 3 were most impactful on me. First, what was my greatest contribution to a group? I bring creativity, communication, organization, and inviting unheard voices to the conversation, both those who are being spoken for and those who are absent from the discussion. Second, my greatest hope for the congregation is that we live fully into our well-crafted covenant as we continue to grow. And lastly, the final question we were given was the rather ambitious, write your life's purpose statement, which after a weekend of worship, personal growth, and discernment, I actually completed. When we shared, mine was notably less concrete than what many in the group came up with, but my purpose is to demonstrate how love and compassion show up in the world. From the general leadership notes category, one of the responsibilities of a leader is to stay in relationship and stay connected. We should invest in the relationships we build, but not necessarily in any particular outcome. It's important in leadership that you take your ego out of the equation as best you can. After all, this is a community that we build together. Another lesson was to embrace uncertainty. I'm sorry, my blood sugar's low. And the unexpected. This is challenging, but it's true that the only constant is change. A related lesson was to see discomfort as an opportunity for growth and failure as a chance to learn. A covenantal community is going to have some conflicts too. All communities do. The real challenge for us is to come back to our covenant, make amends, and move forward together again in love. The final lesson that I learned, not just at Soul Summit, but in general, is this. I'm rarely on my own as a leader. Support is always there. These shared ministry agreements, or SMAs, are the way the church manages groups. In the SMA structure, there's a minimum of 2 co-leaders. My groups have 3 and 4, so that leaders can lean on each other as needed when things come up. That's why we have backups. When I was asked to go to the Soul Summit Leadership Conference, I was taking notes in the mindset of, how do I bring this back to benefit Stone Soup, Embers, and Rummage? When I got back, the nominating committee asked if I would consider being president of the board. Already being a little busy, I spoke with my fellow co-leaders. We redistributed responsibilities so I could remain in a more or less advisory capacity in those organizations while I'm on the President's Council. And my co-leaders were happy to do more so that I could take on this new role. We all have to do what we can to keep our vibrant community alive, and all of that is to say, go ahead and say yes to that leadership role you were considering, because here you'll find the support, and together we'll find a way.
Morning. Hi again. When Sue Lasky told me she had asked Jen to go to UU Leadership Conference and then proceeded to ask me if I'd like to go too, I wondered why. For a while, I suppose she and the nominating committee didn't want me to feel left out. I mean, who else or why else? I'm not really the leadership type, am I? Somewhat knowing those feelings of inadequacy weren't true, not dissimilar from as a kid, knowing there's not really a monster under the bed, but kind of feeling anyway like there might be one. I pushed them aside, and in the spirit of fostering a growth mindset, I decided to go, to have a good time, and to learn from it what I could. Little did I know that I'd be asked shortly after returning to do this. So here I am. One of the more memorable and fun workshops I involved myself in was called Yes and, after a technique used by improvisational comedians. This hands-on workshop focused on introducing the foundational concepts and methods of design thinking, a human-centered, collaborative, iterative process employing empathy, creativity, and rationality to find solutions to complex challenges in, for instance, our community. In design thinking, the focus is on the process rather than the outcomes. For inherent in the process is a celebration of the inevitable failure and using those failures as drivers for course correction towards a better solution. The process of design thinking begins with developing empathy with the person or persons needing a solution. One way to build empathy is to ask those people directly what they need. Once the audience is more well understood, then the problem may be more accurately defined, which is the second step in design thinking, an essential guide to finding the best solutions. Using this as a guiding light, the third step is to ideate, to invoke the sacred spirit of creativity with the goal of developing a multitude of ideas without concern for rightness or wrongness. It's from this stage of the process that I will expand upon later. And it's from this stage of the process where the title of the workshop, Yes and, emerges, and that's what I'll expand upon later. From all the potential solutions involved in the ideation stage of the design thinking process, one must be thoughtfully chosen and prototyped. That is, a small-scale working model is developed. And then that prototype must be tested with those people in need. The fifth step may be the hardest, since this is a step in which failure must be expected and accepted. As I mentioned before, the design thinking model is inherently iterative. Thus, after failing, or more positively, after not completely succeeding, it's time to go back to the drawing board. The ideation stage of design thinking is the creative aspect of the process in which many different solutions are generated in a free-flowing, open-minded, spontaneous, and unrestricted exchange of ideas. It takes courage, it takes vulnerability, and it takes divergent thinking. Divergent thinking emphasizes maximizing the number of possible solutions rather than trying to converge on one right solution, which may not even exist. All great leaders have a divergent mindset, and those leaders use their divergent mindset to guide others. Don't think you have a divergent mindset? No worries, there are practices, even fun practices, you might use to encourage this type of thinking. If you'd like to further develop your capacity to diverge, you could do the following. Brainstorm with others. Yes, and you could learn free writing techniques. Yes, and you could begin journaling. Yes, and you could try role-playing with others. Yes, and you could play the yes and game with others, in which each person follows the previous suggestion with yes and, followed by yet another suggestion to create many unique, innovative ideas. That's right, the yes and game, the hands-on portion of the workshop in which I volunteered to participate and had a great time with. So the next time you're facing a complex challenge, rather than trying to converge on one correct answer, diverge into the unknown.
Gotta get my pocket. Okay, I'm going to give you a little heads up here. There is going to be a test when we're done, just so you know. Soul Summit. Okay, I was delighted to attend this conference, but I was a little skeptical about leadership involving myself. I know I'm not a follower, but I never really saw myself leading anything but shenanigans. Took a deep breath And I went with pride because I was representing my beloved church, ORUUC. I filled half a notebook with notes, and I took the yes and that Todd told you about has been a surprisingly effective tool in my daily life. Because no matter what the challenge is, I've used yes and. It's really helped with people who are scared or uncertain or need encouragement. But my favorite workshop was the one that introduced me to the ahoy, VIA, Institute on Character. See, there's a quiz. I'm giving you another heads up. Science, ahoy. Oh, you don't have to take the quiz, but if you want to learn something about yourself, it's free, it's fun. Now ahoy. Yay, it's science. In the early 2000s, something groundbreaking occurred in the social sciences. Scientists discovered a common language of 24 character strengths that make up what's best about our personalities. Everyone possesses all 24 character strengths in different degrees, so each person has a truly unique character strengths profile. Each character strength falls under one of the 6 broad virtue categories, which are universal across cultures and nations. Ahoy! This is so awesome. The virtue categories and their sub-attributes are wisdom, courage, humanity, justice, temperance, and transcendence. Take a moment to look at this and try to figure out kind of where you land. My superpowers. Yes, you can do that. We're good. My superpowers. Ahoy. Bet you didn't figure this one out. Creativity, curiosity, social intelligence, love, and humor. I also learned some things that I'm not so good at in the general scheme of things. My mediocre powers. Perspective, prudence, and self-regulation. Yeah. I wasn't surprised by those. Oh, wait, back up one. Now, just because I don't focus on those doesn't mean that I can't do them. It means that I use my key strengths, or rather, I flex my go-to superpowers more frequently than I do the ones on that list. Okay, I just want to say I was quite taken aback by humor as a strength. To me, it's something that I just do. It's not something that I think about, and I use it so frequently that it's apparently first nature for me. But to see it listed as a strength really pushed home to me how much I took it for granted. Now you're probably sweating this one because now it's quiz time. Ahoy. If you have a smartphone, please feel free to pop this out, at least save the link. Oi. Oh, back one. We have people panicking. You got it? Okay, and this is the website if you want to put it in your note or take a picture of it so you have it. Now, I didn't make or create any of the information, but I did make the slides. It's all from the website, viacharacter.org, and I'd like to know, what are your superpowers?
Today's Video Divina is another opportunity for engagement. So, please, watch the screens, and when you see something that fits with you, please make some noise, wave your hands, clap your hands, or otherwise let us know what resonates with you. Do you enjoy line dancing?
That's the start.
Are there transitions?
I think it's being impractical. They got it.
One moment, please.
One moment, please.
Play.
Are you into writing or journaling? Hiking? Let us know if you're a creative type. Or do you rather prefer spending time with friends? How do you show up for church? Do you come for the music? How about the spiritual or deep connection groups? Or are you a leader in the church? How about the athletic achievements or activities? Do you come for your children and their youth faith foundation? Or stone soup or event preparation? Once again, line dancing. How do you show up in your community? Are you a voter? How about being a good neighbor? Let us know if you're a volunteer. Or do you donate or make financial contributions? Or attend community events? Let us know. Wave your hands. And how do you show up for yourself? Oh. All right, that was the first one, apparently. Thank you.
Our call to action today. We are each blessed with a superpower of our very own. This week, your call to action is to start to attune with your superpower. Identify one thing others say you're good at, so you don't have to think of one on your own. Wonder, how can I use that gift to be a helper? And how can I further develop that gift?
Dave enjoyed your song. It's good. It's a good one.
Is that?
That's a good one.
I was trying to remember how it started, because sometimes I wake up with it doing that voice. I think it was a guitar song.